Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. It's me, your favorite mystical person here on the internet, back with another astrology video. So in this video, we're talking about the mystic arc. So we're going to do a little decoding today on the signs Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio and how they create this mystic trinity. What inspired this video is that somebody asked me about this and we were kind of having a conversation about Virgo. And I was like, this would be a great video idea. So I wanted to come here to the YouTube community and share what I decoded about these three signs. If you like these kinds of videos, give this video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already for more astrology and other spiritual topic videos. And let's tap in. Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio are key players in soul evolution and alchemy. That's not to say that the other signs aren't, but these three bridge the gap between your masculine and your feminine. What they're showing is a process of integration between your light and your dark sides. Overall, the mystic arc is a symbol of inner balance and refinement. Fun fact about Virgo, a lot of people may not know what the M symbolizes in the Virgo symbol, but it actually symbolizes maiden. When I think of Virgo, I think of the young, innocent, untouched kind of soul. Okay, and when I say untouched, I mean in the sense of like they haven't experienced the darker side of life. They haven't experienced that depth. What Virgo symbol specifically has a loop, and what that loop symbolizes, it's about going inward. Okay, so it's when you do that deep soul search and that deep soul refinement. Okay, it makes me think of the Hermit card in tarot, which is represented by Virgo, and it's about going within and soul searching and doing the inner work. Virgo symbolizes when the soul is descending. You're descending into your subconscious. You're descending into your inner world, okay? You're going from the external to internal. You're doing a deep dive, a deep introspection within yourself. Virgo is the sign of work, but it's not only work in the external sense, it's work in the spiritual sense. Because remember, Virgo is the sign of the sixth house, and the sixth house has to do with the mind, body, and spirit. Everything that encompasses your being, and tending to that and working on that constantly. Okay, that's very Virgo, always just working on something constantly. Virgo is constantly preparing itself for something. This is a mutable sign. So mutable energy always brings this element of transition. That's why anytime we're in the mutable sign seasons, we're in a time of preparation for a transition, specifically during the season of Virgo. Virgo is a sign of preparation. Okay, so this is where you're taking the time to get your energy ready for the big transition. Virgo is a very key component when it comes to manifestation, and it's the part of manifestation where you're getting prepared. Okay, so whether that means you have to do the detox, you have to make certain changes within yourself, whether it's changing certain patterns, certain habits, just changing things about yourself to align to this new thing. Virgo is that sign of refinement, taking the time to go inward and do a correction within yourself, fix yourself. That's why, me being a Virgo, I do understand this, and this is why I say, and a lot of Virgos will attest to this, that we're more critical on ourselves than others. Y'all may feel like we're mad critical, but it's like, if only you knew how we are with ourselves. We're very hard on ourselves because we're always correcting ourselves. We're always in this state of improvement of ourselves. So it really makes it hard for Virgo sometimes to just chill out sometimes, okay? Because we're always on go. We're always working on something, whether it's we're working on something externally or we're working on ourselves internally, okay? Because we're always just trying to make sure that we get right within ourselves. So we're creating space for more of what it is that we want. And, to make that space for more of what it is that you want, you have to create a space where you can refine. Virgo symbolizes the maiden archetype. And the maiden archetype reminds me of Persephone. If we go back to the Greek myths of Persephone and Hades, Virgo is Persephone. Virgo is that introduction to the shadow. It's that period where you're in reservation, you're preserving your energy, and you're focusing inward. Okay, and this allows you to gain clarity on your internal world. Just like in the story of Persephone, Persephone is in her state of innocence. She's a maiden, so she's used to being on the light side, and she has not explored her dark side. Okay, she's always exploring on the light side and just frolicking in the fields and just living her best life, right? Until she gets introduced to the dark side. And this is where we get into Libra. Libra is a sign that symbolizes the threshold. Libra is the bridge. It's the crossing over, okay? So when you look at the Libra symbol, it actually does look like a bridge. And like I would always tell any Libra that I meet, I always say that they're the bridge to the dark side, you know? So I feel like whenever you meet a Libra, just know you're getting ready to go into those depths, okay? They're the initiators of that, which is why Libra is a cardinal sign. Libra is a sign that represents judgment and contracts. Libra is a sign where it brings tests. This is why I say whenever it's Libra season, this is a big time when it comes to testing. Okay, your soul is being tested for the next level. So Libra is the sign that presents you with a test. Oftentimes those tests come in the form of relationships. This is why Libra is a sign of relationships, something that a lot of people don't understand about relationships. People see relationships in a very surface level way, and they don't understand the importance of why they're there. Your relationships aren't there just because and just for your indulgence. Your relationships are there to help your soul evolve. And it doesn't matter what form the relationship comes in, as far as like whether this is a good relationship or a bad relationship. There's different versions when it comes to evolution. You could go through like a easy positive evolution, or you could go through a very tumultuous and crisis-like evolution, you know, and depending on that person's energetic makeup and what contract that you agree to with this person, that will tell you how the initiation is going to come about. Okay, so this is why Libra has to do with contracts. Contracts are the initiation, the agreement. That's why it's important to understand every relationship in your life, you made a contract with them for different things and for different periods in your life. This is why I do believe that your relationships are there for a season and a reason. Okay, because when we incarnated here, that was our agreement. We made agreements when we came here. Okay, we made agreements with different souls to test us, to help with our soul evolution. Libra also speaks to energy exchange, sacrifice. So Libra invites you to ask yourself this question: what aspects of yourself are you willing to sacrifice for your ascension? Okay, and this is where we go back to the Virgo stuff. What beliefs have you released? What values are you willing to release? What parts of your identity are you willing to release and let go of? What patterns are you going to remove from yourself in order to align with this thing? Okay, and this thing could be anything. It could be a relationship, a job. It could be anything. Okay, anything that you want to manifest. It's about alignment, and Libra helps put you in alignment. Okay, and how do you get into alignment? It's when you change your perception on the thing and how that relates to you, and also changing your values. Okay, this is why breakups happen. Why? Because there is a value misalignment. There is a change in values to where you're not resonating with this thing anymore. So the contract is broken. Okay, the deal is done. Once your values change, you align to new things. that match that same thing. So that is all Libra and Venus stuff. And this brings me into Egyptian mythology. So Libra is represented by the Egyptian goddess Ma'at. She is the goddess responsible for weighing your heart on a scale against a feather. So basically what Ma'at in Libra is representing is those judgments and tests that we go through when we're going through big initiations and changes within ourselves. What's happening during the process with Libra and Ma'at is that they are testing you to see how attached you are to your past, and have you done the inner work to even get to this next thing, right? So have you had the closure that you've needed? Have you let go of your past, old identities, old beliefs? Your soul is being tested for its lightness. Because in order to evolve, it's about lightening your energy. You can't be going on to the next level if you have all this baggage and you're still attached. And this is where your relationships come in to test you on that. Okay, like, are you really ready? I'm going to send this person and I'm going to test you to see if you're really done with that situation. Okay, and this is where we get that element of the karmic loop. Okay, where you're repeating lessons. Yeah, that's all Libra. It tests you to kind of see, are you going to pass this test? And if you don't pass this test, I'm going to have you redo the test. But this time it's going to be harder. Okay. And this will force you to make the change. So Libra is like that check-in point where it's like, okay, did you really do the work that you were doing when you were working with the Virgo energy, right? Have you cleaned up your energy to where there is a lightness about your energy so you could receive, okay? Because that's another thing. If your energy is murky, be it like you're full of confusion, you're just uncertain, you have all this baggage, all this heaviness, all this negativity, it's hard to receive. And that's why it's important to really do the work with the Virgo part where you're doing the detoxing. Whether it's you have to detox certain things about yourself, people from your life, certain habits, lifestyles, whatever the case may be, so you can be open to receive the manifestation. And the last thing about the Libra realm is understanding that your relationships are your mirror. Your relationships are here for a purpose. They help you see your soul. It's your way to self-assess, okay? Because how else will you be able to see what's going on within you if you're not analyzing your relationships? Your relationships are going to give you intel on where your energy is and what's going on inside of you to help you make those changes within yourself. Your relationships are you externalized, and it's just really understanding that your relationships are a mirror and it's an essential piece to your soul evolution. Then we get into Scorpio. Scorpio represents the descent experience, the return in your power. The glyph for Scorpio is very similar to Virgo, except you see the little arrow pointed outward. This goes back to the story of Persephone and Hades, where Persephone, she goes into the underworld for a while, and she makes that agreement with her mother in Hades to go back and forth between the worlds. That's the Libra part too, going back and forth to create that balancing. And then Scorpio is the experience. Okay, so the experience with Scorpio is that you're going through the death and rebirth process, the alchemy, and it's the nitty gritty stuff, okay? And it's really diving deep into your subconscious and your psychology and really facing a lot of deep psychological things that are buried like very deep within, to gain control over your subconscious mind. Scorpio, it brings you into a space of empowerment. And this is why Persephone comes out on the other side wiser and more empowered. You see the transition between Virgo to Scorpio. It creates this beautiful arc, this beautiful flow that shows the ongoing cycle of human evolution. The Scorpio part of the mystic arc, it brings power and soul wisdom. And this is the after effect of going into the underworld, okay? After experiencing the death and now your rebirth. You're stronger, you're empowered, you're more wise now. So you go from being the maiden to being the wise one. Okay, and this is where Scorpio, the symbol of Scorpio, shows where you're ready to externalize yourself again. Okay, this time with more experience, more wisdom, more knowledge. And this is why Sagittarius comes after Scorpio. Sagittarius is the sign of knowledge. Okay, so you're ready to take on new lessons and share your experiences. You're ready to share the knowledge that you've gained in your time in the underworld. Okay, so this makes you a very wise teacher. After you get out of the Scorpio realm, this pushes you to ascension. Again, this is why Sagittarius comes after Scorpio. Sagittarius is the sign of ascension. Scorpio symbolizes the embodiment of power and wealth. Wealth doesn't only have to be limited to money. Wealth is in your spirit. Okay, wealth is in your experiences and the knowledge that you gain from those experiences. And I actually made a video on this, how to alchemize your trauma into spiritual wealth with Pluto. Pluto rules Scorpio. Definitely check out that video. I say a lot of insightful things about the whole alchemy process with Pluto, and how that is how you gain access to your true wealth, which will manifest in actual physical wealth. And I'll leave that video linked down below in the description box. Summarize this mystic arc concept in astrology. Basically, it's the soul's blueprint to the process of evolution and alchemy. That is basically the mystic arc. The mystic arc is just simply symbolizing the process that we all go through in the human experience when it comes to soul evolution. This is a constant cycle on small and large scales that we're always constantly going within ourselves, going down within our subconscious. At least we should be. If you're really somebody that's very spiritually in tune and you really take your spiritual work serious, this is something that you're always constantly doing all the time. You know what I'm saying? It's just basically that. It just helps you, have a more integrated soul, more balance within yourself. And it's just a way that your soul goes through constant refinement. And when your soul is going through constant refinement, this allows your soul to evolve to higher and higher dimensions within itself, okay, to experience more of what the universe has to offer, okay, because the universe is so vast. There is so much experiences to have and so many lessons that the universe has to offer to us to increase our soul wisdom. That is what I have for this video. I hope you guys found this insightful, and if you guys have any questions, leave them down below in the comments. Please like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and check out my website, cosmicstarrastrology.net. I have a plethora of astrology and tarot services for you to explore, and I'll talk to you guys soon.